2 videos in one day. It's been a while since I've done one of those. Welcome everyone back to an episode of Inside Lines on this Labor Day Monday. Hope you're all having a wonderful day off from work and school or wherever you do. Now, if you didn't know already, I uploaded a video earlier this morning reviewing Sunday Night Southern 500. I wasn't able to get it out in time because if I did, it would probably be uploaded at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I didn't want to do that, so I just pushed it back to around, I think I uploaded at 10 a.m. This morning. So if you haven't already, make sure you check it out. There was a lot of stuff to talk about in that race, so I highly encourage you watch that video. But if you already did, congratulations, you're already caught up. We got 4 stories to talk about. Well, really 3, but they're all big in their own right. Let's first start off in Formula One. The news that pretty sure everyone was expecting, one of the worst kept secrets in the F1 paddock, and that is Valtteri Bottas. He has been on the ropes, I think, at Mercedes for a couple years now, and has now been confirmed that 2021 will be his final year driving for Mercedes. He will move over to Alfa Romeo in 2022, which will pave the way for George Russell to likely replace him at Mercedes and become Lewis Hamilton's teammate in 2022. Now, Bottas joined Mercedes at the Now, Valtteri Bottas replaced Nico Rosberg, who retired at the end of the 2016 season, and the relationship between Hamilton and Bottas was, let's say, more calm than the relationship between Hamilton and Rosberg. Now, his teammate, Lewis Hamilton, did post a statement on social media regarding his statement to the announcement. He said, quote, "I'm immensely proud to have worked alongside Valtteri for the last 5 years. Together, we've been part of a team that has delivered 4 Constructors' Championships, and we've motivated one another to keep pushing through the ups and downs. He has been the best teammate I've had the pleasure of working with. Your speed and resilience have been impressive, but where you truly stand out to me is a human being you are and a gentleman. You are greater than you know, and I know there's a bright future ahead of you. Thank you, Valtteri, for all your support and amazing contributions to this team. You will be missed. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Let's finish off strong and get that 8th championship for the team." So yeah, like I said, this news is by no means shocking. I'm pretty sure everyone expected at least Valtteri to be out at Mercedes. There were some people that were saying maybe either Williams or Alfa Romeo, but we knew he would be out at Mercedes more than likely. There are even some people that were saying there might be some tension at Mercedes after what happened at the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, where the team ordered Valtteri to not get the fastest lap, and yet he still got the fastest lap. Hamilton did eventually get the fastest lap back to earn that extra point, but I thought that was kind of funny on how some people were saying, oh, maybe Valtteri, since he knew he was going to be out, he's going to defy team orders and just do whatever the hell he wants. But yeah, I think everyone knew that this year Valtteri had to perform, and I think when George Russell put out that stellar lap at Spa a couple weeks ago and was able to beat Bottas and Hamilton in a Williams, I think everyone knew right then and there, yeah, it's basically all but confirmed that they're going to move up Russell to Mercedes without a shadow of a doubt after not only how good he has been this entire season, but especially after Spa. I think that was the race, or that was the moment where everyone went, okay, yep, it's basically all but done at this point. Yeah, hopefully maybe with the new car regulations in 2022, it's aimed to help level the playing field, not so much, but like to have with that cost gap, to have the cars be not so aero sensitive, could see some maybe tighter competition. But hopefully Bottas has a great future ahead at Alfa Romeo and has some success in 2022 and beyond. Up next on this episode, we're talking next gen and NASCAR. 2 drivers from Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell, both gave their thoughts on the next gen car over the past week, heading into Darlington. One was confusing, or I should say this, interesting to say the least, and the other was not happy, or at least not happy about the direction of the next gen car. Let's first talk about with Christopher Bell. Now, Christopher Bell tested the next gen car a couple weeks ago at Bristol in just a single car test. It was a non-manufacturer specific test. It wasn't a Toyota car. It was just a car that was built by NASCAR. They ran some laps at Bristol just to test the car out, and Christopher Bell's thoughts were, again, interesting.
How the test at Bristol went.
Yeah, the test at Bristol was it was fine. I think we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, and we ran through a bunch of different tires. Did a lot of longer runs on different tire compounds and stuff like that to pick a tire for the Bristol race. And I think NASCAR got the data that they needed. The next gen car was definitely a lot different than what we have today, and it's going to be, it's going to be different, I guess is the right word, and it'll be interesting to see how they race. It felt really similar handling wise compared to the car that we have today. My one comment is that I did spin out early on in the test just because, I don't know, I got loose and slipped and I wasn't able to catch the car whenever it stepped out on me. So that was different than the current car. And the straightaways definitely felt slower than what I was anticipating. Typically whenever you go to Bristol, it's a pretty fast place, and it definitely, felt different. I keep using the word different, but it definitely felt different. The straightaways felt a little bit slower than what I was anticipating.
I don't know. Is it just me, or does it feel like that Christopher Bell is being held hostage or has a gun pointed to his head that's out of frame? Because the way he keeps on looking away from the camera and him saying interesting over and over and over again makes me think that there's so much he wants to say but can't say it. And maybe he's just trying to stay face, trying to not step on anybody's toes, which I understand, but I want to hear a driver's true thoughts on the next gen car. Luckily, Kyle Busch delivered. Now, unfortunately, Kyle Busch still, surprisingly, Kyle Busch still has not tested the next gen car. He's seen it, but for some odd reason, he hasn't tested it. And I think the reason why is because he knows that, or NASCAR knows that, Kyle Busch is going to be their biggest critic, because Kyle will not hesitate to voice his opinion on anything. Clearly, we've seen in the past. I mean, we look back at 2007 with the car tomorrow. He won the race and literally said, the car sucks. So I don't think NASCAR is going to think too highly of Kyle Busch and wanting them to test anything that NASCAR wants to try out. But even though he has not tested the next-gen car, he still has his thoughts on the direction of it. He said this in a podcast with The Final Lap, and he's not too happy.
Yeah, I've kind of seen it, but I've not driven it. From my vantage point, when you take out all the ability for race teams to be creative and into ingenuity, the engineering aspect, everything's gone, so it's just a race of engine development, I guess. That's all the manufacturers have any say over the new car, is just what engines are in it and what their engines do and that sort of stuff. So I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I think it's a step in the wrong direction, but it's what we got.
So yeah, okay. A lot of people might be worried about the next gen car because of Kyle Busch's comments, but we have to understand that Kyle Busch's comments has nothing to do error-wise or racing-wise. It's just ingenuity-wise. We know one of the greatest things about not only NASCAR but about motorsports is seeing engineers and mechanics push the limits on their cars, trying out new different things, creative things to try and gain an advantage on their competition. That's one of the great things about motorsports, or at least one of the most intriguing things about racing. And the next gen car more than likely is going to get rid of all that with teams having to buy parts from outside sources or outside suppliers rather than building the cars themselves. Is going to take a bit of that ingenuity. Kind of similar. I don't know if it's similar to the IndyCar series and how it's mainly going to be changes with the engine development and the engine department to try and gain an advantage on a competition rather than do little things, tweak some things arrow-wise, and things like that. And I think that's what Kyle's referring to, the fact that with the next-gen car, you can't do anything, maybe, change some stuff with the splitter, change some stuff with the corner panels. If you want to change something, more than likely it's going to come with the engine, and that's about it. And that's why he says that he doesn't like that. He's not a fan of it and doesn't like that. That's the path that NASCAR is going to. And I would counter that by saying, yes, I understand that. I understand why he's upset at that. I'm kind of upset at that as well. But at the same time, as long as the racing is good, I think you have to understand it's like you give something to get something. Yes, we're giving away ingenuity, but as long as we get good racing, and by good racing, I don't mean full throttle racing, pack racing. I mean drivers that actually have to get up on the wheel, drive the race car, have to manhandle the car, focus more on mechanical grip, car not be as aero sensitive so they don't have to deal with that dirty air crap and all that stuff. If we can get that, then that's good. That's great. I understand that we might be losing ingenuity, but we have to look at the bigger picture. So I understand what Kyle's statement. I understand why he's mad, or he's upset. But I don't think that this is oh my God, Kyle Busch doesn't like it. That means the next gen car is going to be trash. He's just saying that he doesn't like where it's going in terms of the ingenuity factor. He has said nothing about aero. So Just want to preface that. But yeah, that's really, I think, the first complaint we've heard about the next-gen car. We've heard, I think, Truex and Kurt Busch say some real positive things about the next-gen car. Christopher Bell, I don't know what to say about Bell's response because he said everything and nothing at the same time. But Kyle Busch is really the first clear statement of a driver not liking something or anything about the next-gen car. And speaking of the next-gen car, 2022, we know the next-gen car is going to be debuting that season. And many of us assume, okay, Daytona Speed Weeks, we're going to start off. The first race of the next-gen car will be at the Busch Clash on the Daytona Road Course. Well, that might not be the case. If you remember a couple weeks ago on an episode of Inside Lines, I talked about NASCAR potentially holding a race at the Los Angeles Coliseum, like similar to Bowman Gray Stadium that they ran in the modifieds, and I think just the modifieds. I don't think the ARCA Menard Series races there anymore, but the modifieds do. Similar to that, but for the Cup Series and in LA. Well, according to Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic, it seems as though that this is a real possibility that NASCAR could be moving the Busch Clash from the Daytona Road Course to the LA Coliseum in 2022. Now, if this were to take place, it says here that NASCAR would more than likely hold the race in early February, 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, which is set to take place on February 20th, which makes sense. I mean, you're not going to hold the event the same week as the 500. We're going to be bringing new cars across the country just to race in a little Coliseum just to then drive back. Now, we have to understand what are the positives and negatives of this situation. First of all, the positives would be that you're going to be racing on the second largest market in the US in terms of the media market. I mean, Los Angeles is one of the most iconic cities in the world, not just in the US. So if you hold a race there, you're going to get a lot of publicity, especially in the middle of LA. You know, not like, Fontana. It's in California, but I think it's about 1 hour or 2 hours away from Los Angeles. So it's kind of out there. Unlike this situation where it'd be in the heart of LA. So it'd be good in terms of, publicity, good in terms of hype, especially with the next-gen car coming this year. It'd be a great way to generate hype for the car, for the new era of NASCAR. But how is this going to work? Because again, they're looking at doing a Bowman Gray style stadium at the LA Coliseum. You have to understand that maybe back then in the day, the cars were a lot smaller, they're just smaller overall, both in length and in width. You have these big, bulky stock cars now that are going to be racing in a football stadium. Personally, I think just go to New Smyrna Speedway and just do that. Just if you want to have that be your Busch Clash. But I don't know. I like it sounds cool. It sounds like new, refreshing idea, but I just don't know how that's going to work. I'm assuming there's going to be, I think, maybe 18. Actually, I don't even know how they're going to do the Busch Clash this or next year with no qualifying. I forgot how they did it last year, but I'm guessing around 18 to 20 cars in a football stadium. I don't know how that's gonna work. Someone on Reddit, 00 Motors, made this on Reddit. He said, based on Google Maps, the maximum length of a trek inside the LA Coliseum would be 0.273 miles, but I heard they were making some adjustments to the LA Coliseum. So let's say 0.3 miles, because I heard they're making some adjustments to allow more room. So let's say 0.3 miles, a 0.3 mile short track inside a football stadium. Now, keep in mind, it might seem extremely short, but remember, Slinger Speedway, that was a race that was held by the SRX. It's a quarter mile, only 0.25 miles. It is smaller than the LA Coliseum, apparently, and that put on a really fun race. Now, I understand the SRX and NASCAR are two completely different things, but if a track that's even smaller than the LA Coliseum can put on a good show, then I don't know. I'm extremely curious to see how this will work, also in terms of the width. How much track surface is there going to be? It's not so much the length, it's the width. Can you have 2 cars, maybe even 3 cars? Can you put that in the field of in a football stadium? How is that going to work? I am very intrigued how NASCAR is going to do this, especially the fact that they're going to be doing this next year, it seems. We're in September, and you're already, we haven't heard any track limits, or we haven't heard anything with the track, and it's supposed to take place in February. It's a short amount of time for something so big, and this is a huge deal. Let's say this happens. Let's say NASCAR's race at the LA Coliseum, and it's a banger. then this could be a huge deal for NASCAR, and it could give them a huge boost of momentum and hype and anticipation for the Daytona 500. But if it fails in front of Los Angeles, it's not going to end that well. So NASCAR is taking a huge risk if they want to do this, but I am very intrigued. If they actually do this, I'll probably will go to it just because I just want to see the chaos. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued by this idea. Can't wait to see how this plays out. But that is going to conclude this episode of Inside the Lines, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Tell me what are your thoughts on any of the stories I talked about in this video. But until next time, my name is Jed from MDK. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see y'all next time.
I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad, let her ties in the hearse. I've been on the vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the